Hey guys, Yuri back with you with another episode of Ask Yuri. It's another hot day here in Toronto. I'm not even sure why I'm wearing this. Got the air conditioning on inside, maybe it's cold. I don't know. Anyways, my dog Jax, you can't see him, he's just off camera. He is so toast, he's like done. We went for a little 45-minute walk this morning, but it was so hot outside that they were looking for shade, like whenever they possibly could, him and Layla. And we got back and they just like KO'd on the floor trying to cool off, so it's awesome, it's hilarious. Anyways, thought I'd share that with you, and let's get on to some business here. All right, so here's a question regarding nutrition, and here we go. So hey Yuri, I'm reading Eating for Energy, which is my book, and I'm learning so much. Thank you for the great book and sharing this life-changing information. You're welcome. I have a question about pH balance, meat, and health. How is it that in cultures where they eat mostly meats, recently I was reading about Lapland and how their diet consists of mostly reindeer, and don't Eskimos also, they maintain good health and longevity. Thank you for your time. Okay, this is actually a pretty interesting question. I'm not too sure about Lapland and the reindeers, and I'm not too sure how they're eating those reindeers, but I know that in the Inuits, the Eskimos, what they do is they actually eat a huge amount of their diet is raw meat, right? So they're eating all types of animals, but in their raw state. And what ends up happening with this is that the enzymes in that meat actually digest the meat itself, so they don't have to work as hard to digest the meat, and that's a really beneficial thing in those cultures, right? I wouldn't recommend that 99% of the population watching this video do that, but if you're in those cultures, that's the way it's done, and one of the reasons is that they're eating it in the raw state, so their body's able to process it. The other thing is that they eat a lot of fish, a lot of whale blubber, a lot of fish. And they're getting a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, and that is obviously a really good thing for heart health, right? So you'd think that with the amount of blubber they eat and the amount of meat that these Inuits are eating, that they'd have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and all sorts of other disease, but that's not the case. So it's a pretty amazing phenomenon, if you want to call it that. They don't get a lot of vegetables. The vegetables that they do get are pretty much coming from the intestines. They cut up. Or they'll, if they kill an animal, they'll cut the animal, open them up, and what they'll have is a lot of times they'll have like a vegetable soup, which is the vegetable and the seaweeds that a lot of these animals are eating. So they'll scoop out their intestines or scoop out their stomach, and that's inside of that. That's where they're getting their veggies, because there's not many veggies that are growing, in permafrost. So now that I've kind of turned you off a little bit. That's kind of a little bit of their secret of how they eat. But in general, we have to consider that meat and animal products are fairly acidic, right? And unless you're balancing that acid out with some type of alkaline forming foods, and again, there's certain cultures like the Inuits that have, obviously very different health trends than the majority of the population. But if you're eating meat all the time, right? It's meat's fine, right? Occasionally, but if you're gonna have meat every single meal, 3 times a day, 7 days a week, that's a huge acid load on the body. At the very minimum, you need to be taking a lot of green vegetables and a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruit to be offsetting that, acidic intake, right? Because animal products are very acidic, plant-based foods are very alkaline forming. Ideally, your bodies want to be slightly alkaline, and if they're not, that's when disease starts to flourish. So that's the idea, right? I'm not a huge advocate of meats. I believe that eating more of a raw vegan diet is better, it's healthier, and research shows that as well. But if you want to eat meat, that's up to you. That's totally fine as well. Just make sure it's good quality meat, organic, grass-fed when applicable, free run, the whole bit, not stuck in cages, and then you're balancing it out by getting a lot of vegetables in. Right? Getting a lot of that good alkalinity into your body at the same time. So, thanks again for the question. Thanks again for reading Eating for Energy. And I hope that's helped you guys out. And I'll speak to you in the next video.